everybody. It's Adam Freeman. It is Tuesday, May 6th, which must mean that it is time for the middle-aged, bald white guys to talk about comics hour, otherwise known as Comic Industry Insiders Live. My name is Adam Freeman, and I run a company called Prana Direct Market Solutions, and we have a regular podcast we call Comic Industry Insiders that we went live today with a new episode with Chris Arendt. This, as every week, my co-host, Mr. Brian Garside. Brian, bring yourself up here since you're on the one news. Hey,
Hello.
that's you.
Hey,
this is great. Brian and I both have had our fires to put out today, so we usually have a little time where we do a little like catch-up banter. You are catching us fresh, like the first time we're seeing each other today, which is very strange.
Yeah, this is as fresh as it gets.
Brian, for those of you who don't know, runs a POS system called Managed Comics. It's not a POS system, but it is. Just don't tell him I called it a POS system. And apparently this is the second week in a row where our friends at PRH are throwing you a
God bless them
jagged left hook.
God bless them. Yeah, they changed some stuff with their invoices, which are great. Like the new changes are great. As a retailer, I love them. It makes everything a lot easier. But they gave us a test file the other day that it was slightly different than the production file, just a little bit, just enough that it broke everything. It's fine.
It's fine.
Computer
systems are really great at adapting.
They love it.
They love to adapt to like weird system, like weird changes in the data.
I'm just glad we're in Eastern time and not Pacific or New Zealand time, because that would be very difficult to catch if we were in one of those two time zones.
Wow, a rare swipe at other providers.
No. I was on the phone with somebody from Pacific time, but yeah. No, honestly, the poor New Zealanders, like it's, sleeping time and it's panic time. I
exactly.
I feel for them.
Exactly. So why wouldn't you get involved with the East Coast provider? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's me who put those two and two together. This week, we wanted to talk about good news. The last few weeks, we've been discussing the crazy drama that is the Diamond Comics distribution bankruptcy, all of the machinations that have gone in and out of that. We've talked about books that are coming up. Yes, we talked about The Future Is, which is something that we're going to discuss a little bit today, because that's our giveaway today, by the way.
Nice.
Anyway, and so we thought one of the things that Brian and I have been hearing since we talked to comics retailers and publishers and just people down in the trenches of the comics industry, we've been hearing nothing but good news. Like there was a week right after when April started where every retailer I was talking about was giving me like their record-setting first quarter, which you almost never hear. Like you never hear the first quarter beat fourth quarter of last year. Just never happens. So we thought we would do a week where we bring you some good news, because there's plenty of it. Now, if it bleeds, it leads. So I don't know how anybody's going to actually watch this, because we're not going to talk about how
should have come with a bad news episode. Comics are dying. Why don't we do that?
We are suckers.
We're terrible at our jobs.
We have some amazing guests who are coming in, who are going to talk to us about their shops and how things are going. But we want to know from you, what is your good news this fine Tuesday in May? If it's like where I am, it's rainy and drab outside. But are you looking at sunshine inside? So tell us, how are you feeling about this year so far? If you're a retailer, how are your sales? If you're a publisher, how are your sales? How was your Kickstarter? How was your direct market release? What are you seeing? And if you're a retailer, how are your free comic book day results? Please make sure to drop this into the comments. And as you notice, our little banner here, Win with CII Live, which does look like Win with Clive. Looking at it, I don't know who Clive is, but if you hit that inside of the comments, we are at the end of this show going to be giving away this beauty. About 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago, where we talked to our friends at Recca Comics we're going to be giving this away. This is the hardcover that we did as kind of a proof of concept. It is a self-contained full story. It tells the story about Wheeler and his Black Mountain hackers who are taking on all comers. They're like the A-Team meets. Oh shoot, I should have this down. What's the name of this? What's the show with that? Mr. Roboto. That's it. Mr. Robot.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Robot. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. A-Team meets Mr. Robot. Anyway. Really, we all worked really hard on this. Fred Van Lente, Ennio Buffi. It's an incredible story about technology and what the future will look like. And it does give you some answers about what it is the future. So we're going to be giving that away at the end of the show. And we do have some incredible guests this week. A few of our favorite retailers are going to be in. And we're going to be talking to them about what their year is so far. Brian, do we have a rundown? I know that, like I said, this is our first time we've ever actually done this, where I don't know what we're going to be looking at when it comes up on the screen.
Rundown. Yeah, we got a rundown.
Oh, look at that!
So we're going to go through the Q1 sales recap. We're going to talk about the fan confidence rating for April, and we will chat about Free Comic Book Day. And then we're going to get into some Q1 Kickstarters if we got some time at the end here.
I love that. Because we want to show you the good news from all over, and not just at Direct Market, but definitely we're focusing a whole lot on that. And when we start talking about the first quarter, as I said earlier, when I asked how your first quarter was, I was getting reports that were just phenomenal. The things I had never heard before about January, February, March. And so many of them came out of the big companies doing these releases late last year and maintaining and even building. We had launches in January, which we never see. But even then, as we get into some of the FCR stuff, we're going to see even without big launches, we're still seeing continued growth, which is remarkable. Yeah. But in order to get into that, I wanted to bring in a couple of our friends, and we're going to talk specifically about our first quarter. We're going to come back around to talk about Free Comic Book Day here in a minute, guys, because that was last weekend. But as we talk about sales, we want to get a good feeling for. So let's bring up some of our buddies here. First up, we've got Jeremy Shore, Titan Comics. Jeremy holds one of the records for being the most viewed episodes that we ever did on Comic Industry Insiders. You and Cecilia, you did so well in promoting it, and your community showed up. Absolutely. But man, you guys lit it on fire. It was impressive.
May I point out that she lit it on fire?
Yeah,
I know you're giving me this stuff, but the people who watched that were more her people, because they showed up because they wanted to hear her repeat their storing. No, seriously, we heard back from a whole bunch of people who we hadn't heard from a long time, telling us how much that they appreciated her being on there. So I'm just telling you.
That's amazing. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on and those stories, and you should check it out at Comic Industry Insiders or YouTube /Prana DM. We do have an episode with Jeremy and Cecilia Shore where they tell some stories about running a comic shop for the last, how many years is it?
Keep going. You'll
50,
get there.
40?
All told, this year is the 40th anniversary of her opening a store.
40 years.
40 years.
Excellent. All right.
And honestly, I laughed and I cried in that episode. So that is a truly amazing episode. And I gave Jeremy a hug when I saw him in LA because it meant so much to me.
Appreciate
Let's also bring in Tommy. Tommy from Richmond Comics. Now, Tommy,
I didn't hug Tommy, by the way. Which
I have not yet.
I regret it now. I mistakes were made.
You know what? Django hugged me.
Oh, why would you? Why?
You know why? Because he slept in. He is West Coast. He felt till he was more recharged up, and that's what it was.
True story.
No, not really. Yeah. Tommy, I have to say, you have been one of the most vocal fans of both the live show and the podcast so far. I want to thank you so much for that. Can you tell us? We haven't done an episode with you real quick. Tell us about Richmond Comics.
Sure. We'll be 38 years old in June. I've been here for 19 of those years. I've been the manager here for most of that time. We're in Central Virginia. We're surrounded by a bunch of other really great shops. We're a cool community because all the shops are friends. We all get along. We do stuff together.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love the Richmond comic shop community. We all get along. It's a great time.
Who are the other shops in Richmond?
We've got Velocity, Alpha, Stories, and then if you go a little bit south, Time Capsule.
Oh, right on. That's a nice crew.
Yeah,
look at that, man. And you see that a lot actually in cities where a lot of really great comic shops that work well together. You definitely see. I mean that rising tide, man. They just raise each other up. It's always impressive. I was really hoping we were going to get some other retailers in today because, frankly, between the four of us, it says a lot about what comics will do to your hairline, and I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned that we're giving.
This is conscious choice, baby. Conscious choice. Lush under here.
It's overuse of the brain cells. It burns off.
That's
all
right.
the hair.
That's 100%. You know what? If you want to use your testosterone to, I don't know, grow hair, it's up to you, man. Obviously, we have chosen to use it elsewhere. I think that's what the real lesson here is. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Tommy, let's start with you. How has the year been so far? 38 years in this, and you guys have been around the block for a few of them. You here for 19 yourself. Can you talk about what does that look like this year for you? What is the first quarter looking like?
So this year has been a little bit crazy for us. Last October, the owners sold the store to new owners who own another shop across town, Alpha. So we got new owners, so we decided to move. So we moved on February 1st. So January, we had a big sale trying to liquidate some stuff, make some space. So that accounts for a little bit of our first quarter. But when we moved, Google had us listed as permanently closed for 2 weeks. Our phone was not turned on for 2 weeks, and we didn't have a sign on the building.
Okay.
So I feel like that offset.
So things were really stacked up for you to succeed this year, is really what you're saying. All guns were loaded. That's, yeah, okay.
Yep. And then I talked to the owner right before Free Comic Book Day, and first quarter, we were up over 25% over last year.
Wow.
With all of that stacked against you, we were up 25% over last year.
Yes.
That's incredible.
It's because, having a launch for some books is great, but if the books aren't good, nobody's going to show up. Honestly, man, a lot of this is on DC. The Absolute books have brought lapsed readers. They brought in new readers. People are buying it. All of it.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy last night for an hour after we were closed because he's just been reading Superman. And before he left, he bought all the issues of Absolute Wonder Woman that I had on it.
That's incredible. Well, Brian got me on Absolute Wonder Woman. So I can, it's yes. It's an excellent title. Yeah. We're going to see that when we get around to the FCR. The biggest selling title of April, or rather the subscriptions, so that'd be for sales in June, is Batman, Absolute Batman number 9, right? It's not even like, it's not as though we're seeing these big launches where they're throwing a whole bunch of covers at it and they're making a big deal out of it. It's people showing up to subscribe, right? Jeremy, are you seeing that?
All the Absolute titles are just kicking butt. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. It's when I sat down to look at my sales for DC, every single title at the top of the list was Absolute this, Absolute that, and multiple printings selling out, that kind of fun stuff. Yeah,
incredible. What else? So what else are you guys seeing? Are there any surprises this time around? I mean, obviously Batman and Wonder Woman and even Spider-Man and X-Men, those are going to be the classics. They're always going to be the things that keep your doors open. Are you seeing any surprises in this first quarter or the first half of the year?
So far, all of the Godzilla crossover stuff has been exceeding expectations. Now, I'm tempering my enthusiasm because I was just noticing in the May ordering catalog, there's like 30 different covers at least of, I've probably 6 different Godzilla titles with 30 different covers from 4 different publishers, and I'm like, I hope that hangs in there. But so far, Godzilla's been holding up his end of the bargain much better than I had expected.
I've been seeing some of that too. The Godzilla stuff's done really well for us. I'm excited for the shared universe that IDW is doing. I think that those books are going to do well.
Yeah. Which one is this?
It's we're going to get a space book where they're flying around in Mechagodzilla. We're going to get some stuff like there's a hybrid kaiju human thing. I can't remember the other 2 books off the top of my head. There's 3 stories in the Free Comic Book Day Godzilla book, and they all lead into new ongoings.
Gotcha. That's impressive. I'm looking forward to getting back around to talk to you guys about Free Comic Book Day. But I'm interested to know would you say is the best-selling title that's not from those big 3s for you, like the
Transformers.
Is it Transformers?
Transformers.
Well, that's still a big 3. That's still a Image, right? Is there anybody real surprising?
I mean, I would have to say Mark Spear's Monsters has been the big surprise from my perspective. It just I have sold copies of Monsters.
Just Mark Spears in general. You put Mark Spears on like the most random title, and suddenly like my Justice League numbers go up for the cover E. Like, it's crazy. I never heard of the dude until literally January. And now all I like so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
He's definitely getting the job done from both the visual perspective, and if you've actually read Monsters, I mean, you're not just buying it for the covers. It's actually a pretty well written story, and I mean, it's very, very retro, lots of cool feel of the old days, and he brings in lots of old tropes that I mean, he's clearly a fan of old Universal monsters, for example. Yeah. I mean, that's where he got the concepts from, of course. But it's been a lot of fun, so I can't argue with it.
I read somebody said, imagine if Alex Ross was drawing a comic at the height of his like Kingdom Come era, and that's what you would see with Mark Spears.
Fascinating.
I'm seeing a lot of other nostalgia books that are doing really well for us. Space Ghost, Thundercats, the new Flash Gordon book is super fun.
All the Mad Cave Flash Gordon, Dick Tracy's, that stuff. Mm-hmm. That stuff is, I mean, it's not going. Well, I'm not selling X-Men numbers, but it's definitely exceeding expectations.
It's been a 100%. Nice surprise.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Excellent. I love hearing that. Well, we're going to dig into that, some of that when we get, actually, I think in our very next segment. So let's Brian, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and bring up our FCR conversation, because at the end of each month, I'm able to sit down and look at the POS data of the previous month. This is our look at our fan confidence rating. Once again, this is based on the subscriptions plus pre-orders averaged out over the average store who's reporting. This is something we've been tracking now. We've gone back tracking this back to 2.5 years or so, and it has been consistently climbing for the last, I want to say it's something like 28 months. It has, we've seen these kind of, dips, this little bit of sawtooth that we're seeing here in late last year, where, you get a little bit of drop as we're pre-ordering or pre-selling for the first quarter. But even there, we haven't seen the same drop that we normally would see. And obviously, we're seeing this, once again, this spike up at the end on April. This brings up a good question that a lot of people, when I present this data to them, everybody else wants to kind of poke at it. And we have yet to be able to bring in the the sort of I would say sales estimates data that a lot of people have wanted and used in the past. We've not been able to really bring that together yet, but we're getting real close. But so in the meantime, what we've been talking about specifically is about subscriptions and pre-orders and how important those are to the stores and to the success of any good title. Any marketer who is not focusing most of their attention on getting people to subscribe is just not paying attention, right? That's you really have to get people in the door to subscribe. So that's part of why we really looked at this. Now, one of the questions I always get when we start presenting this data is, are you just seeing more people subscribe just in general? Are the sales generally there? And as you guys, you two have said, you're seeing sales go up. But are you seeing more than average people understand the subscription model of a comic shop? Is that something that's new here?
I don't know exactly how to answer this, but what I can tell you is that in the last 90 days, it's certainly 90 days. It may have been going on longer. I have picked up a bunch of new subscribers, and pretty much every time I encounter a new customer who says to me, I really wanted fill in the blank, but you were sold out, we have you really ought to subscribe conversation with them. And if you're really serious and you really want to make sure you get this stuff, and I'm in the past, there's been a lot of we have to explain the whole concept of what subscription means, and that means you have to come in and buy them, and the whole 9 yards. A lot less explanation needed with these people the last 90 days or so. And I don't know if that's because people are watching YouTube videos of things like this and understanding that, hey, that's how comic book stores really work, is if you tell them what you want, they can get you the things you want on an ongoing basis. So it's hard to say exactly, but I haven't had a lot of people scratching their heads at me going, what do you mean this subscription thing?
Would you say that the demographics of the people that you're seeing, that bunch that you're seeing in the last 90 days, would you say they're all of are there any themes that you're seeing of the kinds of people that are coming in?
It's across the realm of things. I had, for example, about a month ago, I had 2 subscribers who I had not seen as regulars in at least 15 years come back in and say, the kids are all off to school, or the kids have all moved out. I've talked to the wife. She said, go for it. Sign up, get your comics again. And I'm on the same day. And I'm like, I haven't seen you guys in 15 years. It's wonderful. It's matched up with people who I've never seen before coming in to say, yeah, sign me up for this thing. And then turning into weekly people. So that both of those things are cool.
There's your new advertising opportunity. Look for parents who have kids that are graduating, right? That's it's time to get back to the comic shop.
That's right. Here's your chance.
Tommy, I did want to give you a chance to talk about that last. What are you seeing for subscribers coming in?
We've got a really good eclectic mix of customers. We have a huge kids section. We've got a large LGBTQ section. So we've got people that come in, even if they're not subscribers, we see them every week.
Yep.
And I have spent 15 years over explaining the pre-order process to everyone that walks in my door. And I think part of the reason that so many people now are getting it so much faster is because of people like Gail Simone and Tom Taylor out there advocating for subscribing. Go to your local comic shop and subscribe, because these are the people, you get comic creators who people love, and they're on the internet constantly talking about, hey, you should go. Like, I don't know if you guys pay attention to Gail Simone. She spent all last week just going crazy talking about Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
Pushing people to stores. Like, she was like sharing various stores across the country, telling people, hey, go to Free Comic Book Day.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you, Gail. Thank you for doing the Lord's work out there.
Oh,
We really
Gail's
Thank you, Gail.
amazing.
using your platform. She's actually been really supportive of a lot of the stuff that we've done in and around the FCR and some of this reporting, in that she, like when I first said how I was getting so many reports of good news from retailers, she was one of those who would reshare it. So I see you, Gail. Thank you so much for your support in all of this. All right, Brian, let's talk about unless you had something to add to this, you jumped in.
Well, one of the things that I've heard from a number of different retailers is that they're seeing a group of people that they haven't seen in years, which is high school students. So high school students are coming in largely on word of mouth around Absolute, and to them, the Absolute is their Batman. It's their Superman. It's their Wonder Woman, which is really, that's super encouraging, and it makes sense. That's the time to get them hooked.
It truly does. It was Demetrius from Anyone Comics who was telling me almost exactly that, like just word for word, is that he sees more high school students now than he's seen in forever, and it comes from the back of this. And I can't wait for those high school kids to like get that. For me, it was that Dark Knight Returns moment where you're a Batman fan, you're a Batman fan, and then you read something, you're like, whoa, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
How do I get more of that? And the guy goes, oh, well, if you like this, you're gonna love, well, Sin City wasn't out then, but I'm saying like you could transition into stuff that's not
for sure
Batman at that point. I'm
really here's excited. Murder Falcon. Here's everything by Daniel Warren Johnson. Start here and work your way through.
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah,
exactly. Awesome.
That should be an episode. Where to go from?
Oh yeah, where do we go from here? Yeah. Awesome.
Stephanie Phillips does that on TikTok. She's like, if you like this thing, here's another thing you will like.
Yeah, for sure.
I have this pet theory that we need for comic shops to really take off, we're going to have to figure out a name for the people behind the counter of comic shops, in the same way that Starbucks started calling them baristas. Like if we can come up with a name for people who run the comics counter and can say, oh, if you really like that, here's this other thing, right? If you like that, well, here's your next path. Here's the next step on your path. All of that is
comic sommelier.
Exactly. If we find that name, man,
it needs to be a course. Comic sommelier course.
Yeah, I'm into it. Before we jump into market share by units, just want to take this moment to say I'm going to keep doing this all day. Please do. I know that it always sounds silly to say this, but to me, it sounds silly for me to say it. It's not silly to say it. Please do please do hit the big thumbs up button, hit the alerts button so that when we go live, you're seeing it, right? And make sure that you subscribe to whatever channel is you're seeing this on, because I'm counting like 6 or 7 that we're broadcasting out to. So would definitely love to see you here next week. All right.
I mean, this would be a perfect time, Adam, to talk about this, because this is one of the best places to get alerted about when we will be live.
That's right. Prana Direct Market Solutions, my company, where we work with a lot of different publishers and other comic book companies. We do a weekly newsletter that we call The Bullet. And it goes out every Friday, even when we are super busy and don't get it out until I think it was like 9:30 or 10 this last Friday, but we still got it out on Friday, where we talk about the week's news inside of comics. We talk about the data that we're showing you, and basically we just try and give you a nice little nugget to kind of digest that week in the comics industry, so that you can go into the weekend knowing that you can put it all away and think about something else. Think about what the rest of the world thinks about during a weekend, as opposed to comics, which obsesses us all. So yes, pronodm.com and hit that subscribe button. Absolutely. We would love it. Love to have you on the next one. Okay, now, Brian, I promise we're going to talk about market share by units.
Really?
This is, you know what? You're not funny. You're not funny. So we're starting to see some patterns in this particular one. And what I love about this is that Dynamite, despite not having made any sort of move yet from Diamond, is still maintaining that number 4 position. Incredible. Where does that come from, Tommy? Tommy, and I would say Jeremy, who's conducting business. But how is Dynamite keeping that position, do you think?
Thundercats.
Yeah,
like,
we get into
the
that.
nostalgia books. They're all really good. And I know I can hand sell them with no problem because I'm reading them all. And this is the first time in my life I can say I'm reading a big batch of Dynamite books, because they usually have books that aren't really for me.
Yeah. Metal Elf. I mean, you were there early, man. We were going to get around to it. We were going to talk about it. One of the big sponsors of the experience, and one of our favorite people, the ones who usually is here to remind me to tell you to like, subscribe, and hit the alert button, is good old Nick, who has not yet jumped in. But buddy, when you're here, I'm here for you. I'm ready. Anyway, the nostalgia books are killing it, right? They really are doing a great job.
They're doing a great
job. Some of those lists here in a minute.
And almost every one of them has at least one Mark Spears cover, and then they recolor the background 7 times, so they've got 35 Mark Spears covers every month.
Yep.
Don't forget the foils.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the metal covers, like
There's a lot of.
This week is Mark Spears week, man. Between Thundercats and Space Ghost Johnny Quest, and this week I'm getting Monsters number 4. It's going to be Mark Spears everywhere on my rack.
Mark Spears all the time. That's who we need to get on here, man.
Mark Spears.
I'd pay attention.
All right. I have to tell you, I just got a text from, let's say, an editor who shall not be named. He said, fuck it. All right, I'll get a Mark Spears cover. Yeah. All right. Market share by dollars. Once again, this is actually always interesting to see the differences. Although this one's lining up pretty carefully. I think it just goes to the fact that everybody's being pretty consistent with their pricing. Honestly, the biggest piece of this is that we were not seeing Distillery. Distillery usually makes this list because they have that much higher price point. Right. And so they usually make the market share by dollars list. But
they didn't ship anything.
There were no solicitation.
There's been nothing shipped.
Yeah.
Well, they got to make that move over to PRH.
They are. And
they're on their way to do that.
Yeah. We're seeing, I think solicitations have restarted for July shipping stuff. So we'll start to see them back here. They took a couple weeks off.
We'll see if we get that. We might scoop them up on this time next week, or this time next month.
And don't forget, it's still out in the future, but we've got Ignition getting ready to start up. So what, August, something like that?
That's very true. Yeah, August.
It should be entertaining to see how that works out.
Yeah. I am really excited to see what the response of the market is to that book. Are you guys hearing much about that first Jeremy Hahn release? I think is it Murder Podcast? Is that what it's called, or something like that? Yeah. Are you hearing any chatter?
Not so far, but it's too soon. Even my guys who are dialed into knowing what's coming up usually don't start hitting me up for I have to have it until like the Wednesday or Thursday before it actually ships. I keep saying, give me 3 weeks, guys. Give me 3 weeks. Nope. I'm going to call you Thursday and tell you I want it next week. Okay.
Yeah. I might be telling you good luck, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
So what's interesting about these two numbers is I'm just curious from the panel, do those dollar shares line up with your experiences in your stores?
I can't disagree with them. I've always been a DC heavy store. More, I mean, if you look at the average order per title, DC has fewer number titles, but I'm ordering. I'm just throwing numbers out here. If I was ordering 10 of each title for Marvel, I'm ordering 15 to 20 of each title for DC. With some exceptions, I could rattle off a few that have that stumbled out of the gate. Power Company, things like that. But generally speaking, most of my DC titles are consistently higher in subscriber counts and consequently orders than Marvel ones are. But Marvel has more titles, and yes, when you get, even though they have lower per capita orders, because there's so many more titles, you get that after effect.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, more SKUs and covers, right? Every time we've done that analysis, we've seen that when you normalize for the number of covers, they do still have a lead on the market, but they don't. The lead really it gets real small. It gets real small because they're just they use that cover button a lot. Maybe not Dynamite levels, but they use it a lot more than DC does.
Oh, they're competing with Dynamite on some.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, number ones will often have like 30 covers. It's
and that's not counting retailer exclusives.
Yep.
So I don't order a lot of variants unless it's an artist I know is proven that I can sell. If I don't get pre-orders for it, I don't order it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's the same.
How much? Do you order multiple variants for the shelf? Do you, or you just have just the A cover?
So I'd say 90% of my order is always the A cover, maybe even more than 90%.
Wow.
Unless it's I went a little crazy on the Godzilla Spider-Man because I was like, it's coming out the week of Free Comic Book Day. It's Godzilla and it's Spider-Man. So I didn't even order all of those variants. There were 2 or 3. I was like, I don't think that looks good. I'm not going to order it.
Yeah.
And I ended up running through all of the variants, and I don't know, 70% of the A covers that I ordered. And I thought I ordered way too many. I was like, we'll have this book for years. It's fine. It's Spider-Man and Godzilla. It'll be fine. But
Amazing.
Those were gorgeous Nick Bradshaw covers too.
Yes, they were. No, but for me, in the my customers are basically A cover buyers. There's a small group of people who want the other covers, but they don't pre-order them, so I get to guess, right? So as I tell people who ask me, well, how many of these things should I order? You order the sell out, and if you can get more, yay, and if you don't, oh well, because the A covers are really, again, my customers are A cover buyers. They just don't really care too much about the other ones, with some notable exceptions.
I wonder if that also is part of the closing gap between DC and Marvel for you, right? Is you have trained your customers to not be so focused on the multiple covers. Those multiple covers are the thing for you. I wonder.
It could well be. I can't argue with that statement. Though from my perspective, when I look at sales data, sales trends, and I have the B, C, D, E covers left, and I'm almost sold out of A's. That tells me the A's are what people want.
Yeah,
the A's have it.
Curious, do you guys find that the bundle deals that DC and Image has recently started doing a lot more of these? Are you finding those are helping with your initial sales, especially figuring out those 1s and 2s for DC?
Absolutely, for DC, they're very helpful. Image, I haven't really encountered too many times that the bundles have really made a difference for me. I'm not really having any spring to mind of recent for the Image ones. I can only remember so many things on a given day.
They did Bug Wars, Assorted Crisis Events, and
I
this
did.
week they are doing.
You're right, they did Bug Wars, but I had people who wanted the high ratios.
Yeah,
and so I bit the bullet on those and said, well, I guess I'll just forego the bundles on those because I needed the high ratio variants on that. I don't normally do that. I actually rarely have people who want the super high ratio variants, but every now and then I take the bait.
Yeah, this week it's Blood and Thunder.
I saw a decent amount of extra copies of Feral when they the new story arc, they offered a bundle. I went and got one. Blood and Thunder that comes out this week, I did the bundle on that. I'll let you know next week if it works. Same. I don't know.
Yeah, the Feral one was genius because it was so cheap. I offered it for free if anybody bought the first 2 trades. So we ended up adding another 6 subs to Feral because of that. So When there's an opportunity to do something like that, I try and bundle it in because it's $1 a copy at that point, right? When you get those bundles of 10. So yeah, it makes a ton of sense.
I think the Pharaohs were 50 cents. I think that bundle was only $5.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
This Marine, excuse me. Chris in the comments has been talking about how DC has slowed up on some of these bundles, but it's also I was referring to this list. So this actually list is what I found the most remarkable about this week's FCR rating, which was the highest it's been in over 2.5 years. Not a single number one in the top 10 or even the top 25. I don't remember how deep I had to go when I was looking it up, but I had to go real super deep into this list to get to a number one. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. There was no number one at all on the top 100 this week or this month. I had to go back to January to find several launches that made the top 100 in that month. So what this says to me is that the people are coming out to subscribe to these titles and are starting to build, and we're starting to see a groundswell, right? We're starting to see these titles increase month over month, as opposed to that attrition that kills every series, or did for many, many years. Like you would see that spike at number one, and hopefully it was high enough that you could ride it out till the end, which is how we ended up with so many miniseries, because at some point you have to lock that off and start over, right? Is it possible? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm overly optimistic, but do you think it's possible that we are entering an age of ongoing series? Is that possible, gentlemen?
I sure hope so.
When you show me a Marvel title with a number that starts with a 3, I'll believe it.
Yeah.
A 2-digit number that starts with 3.
Amazing Spider-Man went up to 70.
Okay, that's 1. Go ahead. Next.
Restart. Restart. Never mind.
All right. So when Marvel, if you're hearing this, if we're going to enter the age of ongoings again, we need to get to 30, just 30, and then you can shut it down and go to number one, just for Jeremy's sake. Okay.
There you go.
Get there.
Just for me.
We would appreciate it. I mean, looking at this list, maybe that could be Ultimate Spider-Man, guys. Ultimate Spider-Man 30, right?
Yeah.
They're about to do Incursion. You never know. When he joins up with Ultimate Peter Parker, they're gonna do a team up book and cancel. You just don't know what they got planned.
I never felt like the Ultimate stuff was built for longevity.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's built for a 5-year shelf.
Finite story that is going to be really good, but it's going to end.
Yeah, I'm just saying this. When Hickman leaves, because he will leave, it just happens. Sure. 6 months after that, it's done.
Somebody's going to want to come in and be
and redo the whole thing. Look what they did to X-Men after Hickman left.
Yeah,
of course. Who doesn't, right? I mean, the new guy always wants to put their stink all over everything.
I can't fault them for that, but if you look at, and I understand that you want to batch things up for trade paperback sales and ongoing evergreens, and I got that.
Sure.
It gets really tired trying to figure out which number one trade they want.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah, that's true. That's why YouTube exists, to give everybody reading orders, right?
Yeah, it's so true.
There's this really interesting segment in this week's Comic Industry Insiders where I talked to Chris Arendt from Popverse, and he introduced me to this thing that he calls, and it makes complete sense, service journalism, right? So instead of, here's an interesting story, I went out and did some investigative work and I brought it to you. It's what questions are people asking, and I can answer them for you. So if you see, like, say, Google has, ranked the phrase, what's the reading order of Spider-Man graphic novels, and you go in and you do a section or do a piece on what's the reading order of Spider-Man graphic novels, it makes that SEO kind of make sense. I mean, Brian, you're the SEO specialist here. You know this, right? It's that level. That's what journalism has become.
Yeah.
Right. Which I find really, really interesting. And it is, what you guys do for a living. As Excellent.
Let's talk about a couple of the reasons that might be behind a couple of these. So Ultimate Spider-Man, this will be around the Spider-Man Incursion issues. Ultimate Spider-Man's always top 5, but this may have kind of bumped it up a little bit. The other one that we see here is Transformers 21. I'll be interesting to watch that one in 3 months. 24 is the last Daniel Warren Johnson written issue, and I forget the artist's name. I'm so bad. It's his last issue as well. So 25 will be a new creative team and an all new creative team. So that should be interesting to see what happens there. With our second half of the top 25 that goes to 32 for some unknown reason. So Justice League Unlimited number 8 is the 4th part of the We Are Yesterday story. And what's neat is 32 is the 5th part of that story. No, sorry. 32 is issue 40 will be the first one after that story. I'm sorry. So there was a bump last month when that storyline was going on. And I think Fantastic Four 33 might be the last issue of this current run. Look, Jeremy, another 30. Soon to be none. So sorry.
Here's the age. The age of the ongoing is upon us.
Well, it's about to be a number 1, so maybe the age of the ongoing is upon us.
Yes, they won't. They'd never relaunch it when the movie started. Never.
Yeah. Here's our top 25 for indies.
Yeah.
Conan the Barbarian always kind of surprises me that it's so high up, but also we sell a crap ton of Conan the Barbarians.
And the first representation we've seen of a number 1, Heat Seeker Exposed Gun Honey.
That's a
say that 5 times fast. Yeah. So once again, I think this is where it starts to get interesting, in that, like, number 2 here is the first time we've seen something that is not nostalgia, right?
Yep.
All of those are pre.
Hello, Darkness is not nostalgia.
True.
That's a good point, but I'm saying on this list, Something is Killing the Children at the issue 43 is showing a lot of strength, and is not nostalgia, but yes, they're further down on this list. Minor Arcana.
That's a book that's been out for like 5 years now, and it's still top 5. That's pretty impressive.
Exactly it. The Power of the Tiny Onion. It continues. Yeah,
it's true.
And Dynamite just killing it here at the bottom of this list. Look at all that Dynamite. Like, it's coming in hot. But yeah, I think that all of this goes to this power of the nostalgia licensing. I think it's really interesting that we're still seeing that as strong as it is. It was interesting being at Comics Pro this year and seeing that all of the big announcements were about these big brands. They were about Marvel versus DC. They were about the Scratch and Sniff book. They were about, like, big things that were getting people excited. We didn't see as much news as we often do about big creator-owned launches, right? I mean, certain publishers did have their launches, but those were not the ones that were getting attention. I'm wondering, what does it take right now for a creator-owned title to kind of break out in your stores from where we stand right this second?
Creator-owned stuff usually involves a lot of hand selling. So if I like the book and my coworkers like the book and we start talking about it, which is part of the reason why some of the books that I have that I sell really well that other people don't, it's because I like it and I won't shut up about it. So I think Exquisite Corpses is going to be a huge breakout. I think that is our next Something's Killing the Children. It's just, it's tiny and again. The presentation we got at Comics Pro from those guys was top notch. I loved every bit of it. I'm very excited for that book. But that's how creator-owned stuff gets out there. The creators have to be excited and have to be doing a lot of their own self-marketing of stuff that we can latch onto and push out to our customers. And, if we're not loving it, it's harder to sell.
Yeah, it's true.
A lot of those announcements seem to happen at New York Comic Con too. So we had Lucky Devils last year. The whole Tiny Onion universe was launched there. Even well, Snyder came out and talked about Absolute, but a lot of Jeff Johns' stuff the year before at New York Comic Con was all launched at New York Comic Con 2023, I guess it would have been. So I think maybe that's the way the cycle is going, is like creator-owned launches are happening in October, and then Comics Pro tends to be a little more corporate in terms of the launches, and then you get creators again pushing at it'll happen again to a lesser extent at San Diego. We didn't see a ton, I don't think, at C2E2 this year. I didn't see a whole lot of
I can't think of anything that jumped out from that.
Yeah, not a lot of energy came out of C2E2. It's an interesting show that's getting some it's going through some transition. All right, as we're coming in towards the end, I want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, make sure you do that hashtag win with CII Live. We're going to be giving this away in probably about 5 minutes or so. And while we have just a little bit of time, I know we wanted to talk about Transformers. Where's the Kickstarter news that Kickstarter is doing incredibly well? Where is that Transformers right now?
So those are not Freedom units; those are Canadian units, but it's just shy of 4 million Freedom units, American dollars, and their original goal was 40,000 American dollars. So,
and not a retailer incentive in sight.
No, there is. There's a retailer exclusive.
They must have added it.
Yeah, they did, and it's what it is like the opportunity to buy it through Lunar, which I don't quite understand, because I just bought copies of the first compendium through Lunar like 2 weeks ago. So
yeah, same. I ordered them too.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what the difference is. Maybe it's like the hardcover, because I think the hardcover is Kickstarter exclusive.
Yeah.
But yeah, you will have the opportunity to buy them through Lunar with your Lunar discount.
Well, I did want to bring that up, and because it's yet more good news, yet more news that people are lining up for comics. They're showing up in all of the platforms that comics are there. So it is a really good time to be doing what the four of us seem to be doing with our lives. Want to talk about good time? I would love to hear about. Oh wait, here we go, Felicity, saying that convention sales are up as well.
Nice.
So there you go. So wanted to talk really quickly about Free Comic Book Day and what you guys saw this year. Jeremy, you were telling me a story just before we went on that I'd love for you to tell everybody.
Sure. Well, the quick comment is, in the last 12 years, I've had a point of sale system now for about 12 years, and every year at Free Comic Book Day, it feels like it's the greatest day ever. And then we sit down and look at our numbers and compare it to the last couple of years, and they're all within $100. Literally all within 100, 500. Oh, okay. It's still a great day. The energy is unbeatable. People are happy. We have tons of people through the store. This year, when we got done at the end of the day, which again, it felt great. Everybody was having a great time. Wonderful energy going around. We had lots of creators out for people to talk to, and we were up to almost 20% over last year, which is, considering that we were at a plateau for years, is huge. It really reflects that people are interested and excited.
That plateau really is the thing, right? That makes that number accessible. Like, if it's not that you're seeing 20% growth every year, it's that it's 18% over a consistent amount.
Yeah,
it's really remarkable. How about you, Tommy? How was Free Comic Book Day?
So we saw the most number of people that we've seen since before the pandemic. It was the biggest crowd we've seen. We had a line around the building for over an hour. We run our Free Comic Book Day like a little mini Comic-Con. We take over the parking lot. This was our first year in the new space, so we weren't quite sure how our logistics would work, but I had a bunch of artists, a bunch of craft vendors. We got one of my subscribers works for Canada Dry's distribution, so they sponsored our day. We gave out free drinks, and we've got a basketball net that we're giving away on our YouTube show tonight. That, they bent over backwards to do a bunch of stuff for us. So we had a huge crowd all day. We made about the same amount of money as we made last year, which is great because moving into a new space, never sure how it's going to work. But more people, we had more of the people that came in, got their free books and left this year than we have in the past, which that's just part of it.
Yeah.
You know, that's just part of Free Comic Book
That
Day.
always happens. You always have the people who just want the free comic.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But we also have people who go to every store in town and then talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And like, these are guys that they come in, they get their free books, they'll buy something, and then they move to the next shop, and they do that all day long. And those are people that I usually only see a couple times a year. So it's a lot of fun. I love Comic Book Day.
Yeah, it is always, it is the holiday, right? It is the most wonderful time of the year. Yeah.
This is Django at Comic Shop Assistant, and also the Comics Place in Bellingham, Washington. So he said our shop had a huge Free Comic Book Day. We managed to maintain a line down the block until almost 4 p.m., which is my favorite sneaky marketing trick on the day.
It was mine as well. Whenever I owned a shop, one of my favorite things that we did was you may get one free comic book anytime you go through the line. And so we would have people who just kept getting in line over and over, and their line, of course, runs out the door and around the block. So the line just stayed there all day long as people just kept getting back in line and just getting back in line. Yeah.
That's
it was
awesome. Had people calling us to find out what was happening. That's awesome.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a brand new one that brand new format that we've never. I mean, every week these seems to be an experiment for us. But you guys jumping in and helping, I would appreciate it. I really do. How should people find you? What are any big announcements you want to drop right before we close out this thing out? Jeremy?
I own Titan Comics in Dallas, Texas. Been doing it for a long time. 4,800 square feet of nothing but comic books and trade paperbacks and old comics and statues. That pretty much, if it isn't a comic book related item, I ain't carrying it.
There you go.
No games. I know, weird.
I don't know, man.
You
might want to rethink that model. I don't know how long you're going to be around doing that, buddy. Yeah. And definitely check out the episode, as we mentioned earlier, on Comic Industry Insiders, where we talked to Jeremy and his boss, Cecilia, who
100% my boss.
The owner of the store, as he will tell you anytime you make that mistake. Tommy, anything you want to tell the audience before we knock this thing out?
You can find our shop all over social media at Richmond Comics. I have a YouTube channel that I run with a few other people at RCX Media. We do a Tuesday night live show where we talk about the books that are coming out that week and whatever other nonsense. Like, we'll talk about Free Comic Book Day tonight. It's 7 o'clock Eastern every Tuesday. And I wanted to show off this merch that I got.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Look at you.
Nice.
Look at those Recca threads. Well, that seems like a really good segue to talk about our friends at Recca Comics and this giveaway. May 28th, you're going to want to go and pick this up at your local shop. It won't be in hardcover. It's going to be a single issue, and it's going to start a series that will be run for 60, Jeremy. That's twice 30. That is
right. I am psyched. I can't wait till this. I really am. I think this will be a great comic book.
This is also a good opportunity to let. Sorry, go ahead, Jed. Brian.
Reboot it every 12 issues, and then you get 5 number ones out of that. Evil.
Don't believe me. You're not the first to come up with that idea. I was shot down. Okay, we are going to give this away. Kyle, can you give us our spinny thing? We're going to run a couple minutes late. If my next appointment is watching this is why I'm running late. Kyle, do we have a spinner?
Can you check the private chat real fast?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm checking the private chat. Let's go in the private chat. Not many. Oh, yeah. Well, if you have one last opportunity. I'm going to give one quick announcement. So you have one last opportunity to push in Win with CII Live. We might just go through and pick one after this closes out because we are running close. But if you,
why don't we do our
more?
Why don't we do some cross marketing real quick?
Oh, yeah. That reminds me that we need to remind you to get on the Prana Bullet. Please go to pranadm.com and hit the subscribe button. We send out this weekly email that will give you a lot of the data that you've just seen and all of the big announcements that we do. Also, every now and then we like to plug our friends at Managed Comics, which is an incredible POS system that you are going to want to be. And we even have our own graphic on his slide. That's how bad things are this week.
I scrambled to get all this stuff done at the last minute, folks.
Brian is doing an incredible webinar. You should be on it. You should go to managedcomics.com/webinar and sign up for their May 15th webinar, which is next week.
Absolutely. Next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, we will be doing a 30-minute webinar. It may go long. If it goes long, it goes long. You can also check out our last video that I just did. So if you go to info.managedcomics.com, you'll see it right there. And we just did a 45-minute video live where we announced our multi-location enhancement that we will have live in 2 weeks. So there you go, folks.
Also, another announcement. We don't have a slide for it. Oh, 2 more announcements. Next Monday at 5 p.m. on The Experience, Fred Van Lente and Joe Keating are going to be on Talking Shops here on The Experience. So check it out with Jen. They're going to be talking about this book, The Future Is. And I think we're going to run out of time. So we are going to give this away. We'll just go through and find somebody who's hit the hashtag, and we'll come back in with it. Win with CII Live. Next week. Oh, wait, we're doing it. Never mind. This is how well I know what's going on.
Metal Elf.
Oh, Metal Elf.
All right. Kyle, I think get your info. I think you might have already entered your info. I don't know how this works, but I know that we're going to get back with you and get this out to you. Thank you, Metal Elf, and thanks for the questions. By the way, I think you asked a question back. What distributor would you go with for internet and conventions? I would say right now, TFI Live is going to be exclusive on Lunar, so it has to be Lunar. Go get Lunar right there. There you go. That answers that question. Next week, there will be no CII Live. Maybe we'll do a repeat.
Best of.
I don't know, or rerun.
Best of.
Maybe we'll lock Brian into a refrigerator and have him think back on all of his favorite moments. We haven't decided yet. The reason is I'm going to be on a tour beginning for as a pre-release tour that starts at Third Eye Comics, then goes to Ultimate Comics, Third Eye Comics in Baltimore, Ultimate Comics to Blackbird Comics in Florida. And then we're going to have a big concert on that Saturday. Starting Wednesday, ending in Saturday, I'm going to be in a car with Fred Van Lente and a bunch of other people around Recca. So we won't be doing a live show next week, but we will be back in 2 weeks. And we do hope that you hit like, subscribe, and alert. Brian, anything else before we get?
Yeah, breaking news. We'll hold this time because Django and I might do a Data Bros in this time.
What?
Zone. A special Data Bros. Yeah, I think we're gonna do it. Yeah,
that is fascinating.
We'll keep the time available. Folks.
Hang on. Well, make sure. You know what? I'm personally going to go in and hit alert so that I know when the guys come in, and I can call in and Baba Booey them. All right, that's it. That's the whole damn show. Thank y'all for spending an hour with us while you set up your shops or whatever it is you're doing. And thank you once again to Tommy and Jeremy. You guys, you're inspiration to us all. All right, Brian. Namaste, y'all.
Namaste, y'all. Thanks.